Hello. I'm very honored to be introducing our next reader, John Pluecker, officially, JP to the rest of us. But I can't pretend to be introducing him like I would a poet I don't know, since we've been working together for 2 years and he's going to be one of my best friends. And I can't distinguish JP the writer from his work, and I hope I'll never have to. So there's a commitment to diversity of form and genre and language in his works. Reading his texts during the last 2 years of the MFA program, one gets the impression he doesn't want to get too comfortable in one mode of writing. He's already written a couple of DIY chapbooks, Roots into Texas, which is a wonderful collection of prose, and Undone, a new one that's being released from Juicy Press. His translation of Martin Solaris's The Black Minutes earned him a spot in the list of the best translated works of fiction by the University of Rochester just this past January. Yay. But I'm only one person, so I asked a few people to give me one-word description of JP's works. And I took a survey, and here are the 5. Number 1, innovative. 2, grounded. 3, intoxicating. 4, built. And 5, playfully pastoral. So let's see some of those qualities from the manuscript he's reading tonight forward us over. It's a part of the ongoing project that appropriates published diaries of explorers who attempted to map the physical and cultural terrain of the interior provinces, specifically Texas, JP's home state, through a wide variety of techniques such as cut-ups and erasures, translations and mistranslations. JP's work adds to this ongoing dialogue around documentary poetry. Here, though, there's a sense that, unlike other pieces of conceptual writing, that this work seems like there's no eradication of the lyrical gesture. And the lyrical gesture might come from his choices of techniques that he applies, and also from this wonderment he has towards his subjects, rather than a profession of feelings. Like Texas of the 19th century explorers, his manuscript is vast and complicated, with its rules being made as it goes along. So in the first piece of the manuscript, the reader, well, I'm going based on a draft that he gave me earlier. So I'm going to quote, I guess he's changed, but I'm going to quote that anyway. "We are in a land, we are on a page, you are walking with me." So tonight, I'm glad to be introducing JP to the podium, blogger, translator, interpreter, and of course, colleague, friend, and poet, John Pluecker.
For calling me a poet, for one, which is something when I first got here, I didn't think I'd be standing up to be called, and for being such a great friend. When we started the program, in one of the first meetings, Sarah talked to us all about how we should kind of welcome to the sandbox, was kind of how I remember it, and that we should all take time to play in the sandbox. And I remember thinking that was a little bit of a strange way to think about moving across the country to an MFA. But now I've been happy to play in the sandbox for 2 years, and I'll happily continue to play in the sandbox of my own building and collective building, hopefully. So that's to say thanks a lot to the program and the faculty and staff. Tanya, I think, deserves a round of applause. To staff and to the friends and everyone else, and to my family for being here. As Lester said, these texts do swirl around lands and rivers in Texas, and there's images. Let's get some images. Okay, so the texts do swirl around lands and rivers in Texas and in northern Mexico, in Coahuila, Nuevo León, and Tamaulipas, más que nada, the part that's closest to Texas. And it does draw on chronicles of exploration from the 19th century and even further back to the 16th century, 17th and 18th. And it thinks about, just to give a little introduction, it thinks about what it means to cross things, genders, creeks, the space between two men, landscapes, genres, art forms, experiments, pages. It's called For This Over. On a page, en una página, in a land, en una tierra, walks with me, camina conmigo. A veces habla en español, sometimes speak English, or my visage. No hay por qué traducir esto. Aquel Comanche, wild white, naming, a bella. Lose these words. This stream flows into the larger, the stopping place, unknown. A smaller arroyo loses its words in the Guadalupe, corre, corre. The words swallowed the river, bounces on minerals, brillan, headed to the Gulf, engulf, words, dilute into multitude. Estos años que pasan sin saber, cruza que corra, que cruce, corre, corre, corrosive runs the water, el agua rancia, que corre, corrode. We are explorers of this, that this, eyes down from on high, descending onto the page. Or is it the land, these portions sectioned into zones, and expanding previous to mapping territories with curving lines, dots, sweeps, denude the script, scribe for days. Clouds begin to the north, dark with hillside, tumbling, a sandy color ground, 5 darkened squares that the place where before, 3 of the squares with lines leading away and around, these, careful, careful, not an easy bank to hurdle, to pull up, out, no squiggles, no barriers. This page is easy to cross. This, that this, these, those, arrows, flows with water, separated from the expanse of gray. This shading on the page, color, sandstone, layers of lignite, cover this vast country with xylotite, abounds. Palafox village, ruinated, these reeves do laugh, brave, or devoutly situated, the commandants. That this town of Palafox, as well as the rancho, were destroyed by the Indians about 1820. Descendants, defendants, defend the descent. The land referred to, not being necessary to the understanding of the opinion, has been omitted. Can you bathe in the space between these thick shaded lines, segmented as if worms climbing down the remains of fields, or bandages crisscrossed in patterned bliss? In the space between to the bottom, care not to disturb the mass of dots in the river. These indicate the shape of sandy island masses, and between them the softest of dotted lines extend from one another, descend from the narrowest side of the page to the open expanses on the east. For it is the east we are mentioning, no? An arrow grows out of the compass rose. Some mention in the arrow of the Comanche, some mention in the gloom of the clouds of violence, some refusal to recognize destruction, the lonely straightness of these lines. This map of straight lines, of a violence of no violence, timid dots, the lingering dark clouds, the only remnant of the past battle, and the onslaught arriving from the same north. Wandering up onto the mesa, scaling the rounded dark shading, all is lifting and descending. Nodding, observe a must, the particular. The camino is traced on a terrain of arcs and carriages, a cupboard of mimosas, quartz, jaspe, cornstone, chalcedony. The Comanches and Lipan Apaches, frozen in stairs, destroyed the ancient Presidio, assuredly captained by a North American. The map, calm line, arc sweeps down, a troubled corner, a deceptive moment, tranquility, disease. Page delimits the river's flow, arrow downstreaming, pointing, beginning. Those tiny, these boxes, those. Mission the limits. Dang, son, plan. Rivers, river. Manuscript, construct white. Part, general terrain. Multiple streams, cut and remiss, O minister of winter. Run, O north, parting from 32 degrees latitude. The reeds do Rio Sabina back and fortify a progress, from top to south, a little, and pa o desu do ru so, a poet issues duress. O name, patron, pours sur the reeve left. She abuts into the Rio Rojo at Natchitoches, part 33 degrees as the lat. Mark connects the trembling lines with one solid linea divisoria. No reeve to sit, no riso to hear. We have our eyes rived sur, the south, the page riven in two from bottom to north. Wavy, voilarc, plangent, bocan, dordrite, sinuous, sinuated, bayou pierre, undulating, unwound, unwinding around, tanaja, snake, accord, curl your curve, patron, bayou pierre, stay, stay, this, rolling into a divisory line from Nacogdoches into Natchitoches, the feelings left in the unnamed the lines, the riso, the arroyos, the names, all these places, Nuevo Santander, Tamaulipas, Asinay, Texas, Texas, las provincias internas, intern, the internal. Día 13. Pal, mar, es, tor, to, las, robles, co, ne, jos, leo, nes, tu, na, les, go, reo, nes, y, cardenales, en, si, nos, a, ves, sen, son, ples, tor, dos, lo, vos, jo, co, nos, tles, mes, qui, tes, los, te, co, lo, tes, que, bra, ta, huesos, so, pi, lo, tes, wi, sa, ches, pal, mas, fai, sa, nes, calandrias, y, gavilanes, apaches, indios, coyotes. Killing current, bluish, yellowish, crossing to struggling, heavens to cross our encounter. June nut dance, collect the honey, servant's honey, has danger, flavor, prairie horses, turkeys, bees, mala, risk, Frenchman, Cherokee, mulberry, membrillo, mala, touch, the West over, permit us to ceaselessly be its honey, eat that honey, good on horseback, hive. It's my sexy one. We decided to expose ourselves, like ourselves, these wilds, dwelling, creeping, bees blossoming, region, swelling, a large quantity of people flitting from flower to flower, water on the honeycomb, intoxicating and vomiting thick syrup, a transparent yellow ability to follow. The Ford soon procured the singular. I is dangerous, and I believe without being. Berlandier here surely lied, certainly is poison. Here, hold my hand, fellow, right in front of us. See there, to the right? The shapes are degrading there. These are marks on paper, and we are also marks on paper. We live here. You can tell this was manufactured. Look at the skill of even a shadow coming off of the small structure to the right. A smaller rectangle with a trapezoid on top, seeming to slide off. The larger rectangular structure with the trapezoid on top is, on the other hand, sturdy. It is not lean or precarious. Its straight lines reinforce permanence. But somehow this strong shape is shunting down the littler one, hanging off, about to fall into the penciled in, set to tumble into the dear, come with me, walk into the plane. The blotchy marks, these groupings of darkened masses, large spiked fringe, danger grows in the blotted. Lurking in these dark lines and shadows, count them, all 19. You might count more. Hard to know where one mass ends and the next begins, or even what should count as a mass. What is countable? Together, a walk through penciled underbrush. Off over there, look, a protuberance. A row of parallel lines. Such a quantity of them. 48 centuries, crowned by triangles. Behind them, dark spires, the spokes of an undergirding for these drawings. 15 of these posts. Something is behind them, an intonation we can't see. But undisheartened, compañero, time flows forward, and this fort defends. A togethering gathers in the meaning. Stuck into the top, a pole, and above it, a rectangle is curved down in the middle of that part of it had slipped down momentarily. This, the artist suggests, fluttering. Yes, fluttering, caused by the action of wind. Wind is a difficult thing to draw. A difficult thing to write. A way of wandering, my man. Across, in the distance, off-kilter, points its left arm up into the sky, askew. A gathering of 4 figures in the distance, rectangles with trapezoids perched atop. To the left of each of them, a darker triangle with a square. Between us and them, an expanse of untoned grayness. The paper takes hold, only a light shading to indicate murky reaches. Across silt and sallow-hued water, your pencil stands in for color. How to carry you physically along into the distance, what is called the background. The background rears up in the distance. The open paper cuts us off from that side. 4 windows on one, the triangular roof, next to it a smaller one, a kind of shed, a smaller square. How to cross this space and move into the other mass of shadows. Querido, a paper to keep you here close to me, gripping your hand in mine. The 8 ridges of penciled wave batter, far edge of shadow mass and background. The backside of the mass, an island is suggested, a sandbar, or not even an island, the other side of the undrawn expanse, the mainland rears up. There is no there outside of this. All around us, a dark line marks the perimeter of our land. We are left to one another. To the bottom, there's written in a curly-Q script, Barra del Río de Pánuco, con el fortín que hicieron los españoles en 1829. Oh, you, walk me into land, into holding. Hold my graphite mark, tilt your darkened hat, dream of flesh, sand, rivers, ink. Hard remembering, we still here, older and caned. Still after the original. Vista by day, lays, massive. Case say, observe. In yell, parage. Call, the king. Eagles in hand, circus villa mounds, guerrero. Believe touch, coalesce motion. Breathe for work. This, work. Clouds charged with beige and darker streak, amorphous globs shading cloud. The original is you. The copying, I bathes the place. A storm is breaking on horizon, or is it a line, a mountain and damaged by towering cumulus? Colleague, this time your desire has failed you. Cain wound up the cottonwood tree. I trust in these, of graphite and ink. Pricked in the refaring of our botanical collections, a Subite roar grew from the tempest. Folly, the reeve rises, away the surprise is roan like the mare. Eat another motive, bien puissant. My feet direct my path. South, this route, see, tate, the desire to reunite, taught, take the limite. Colleague, on the plain, you tumble, trundle, but you are not a ball, but a mass of scribbled lines, evoke the solitary, aid alone in the expanse. I desire to seethe you, to see with you. Get up. Plus, my desires augmented. Plus, also obstacles accrued. Our encounter, or rencounter. Look, the androgynes. This is the last one. We, lofty texts, we did not follow the West to cross the river. We detained in, of, to, in, with, in progress. Our circumserved consistency, ever traveling towards the north. The single no without even having seen. Dread those who suffer. Oh, rave the rub. Ford us over.